Ted Cruz knew exactly what was happening. You gotta see this.
Many presidents of both parties have engaged in controversial actions, and yet none of them have been indicted. Was President Barack Obama criminally prosecuted using drones without notice and without due process?
He was not.
During a Senate hearing, Cruz asked a series of pointed questions, exposing the double standards surrounding the cases brought against Trump. And today, we're breaking it all down. So if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
The nub of the Democrats' argument today is that the concept of presidential immunity is somehow unprecedented, is somehow remarkable. That claim is utterly ahistorical and disconnected from the entire constitutional history of the Republic. General Mukasey, before 2023, how many times has the President of the United States been indicted?
None.
Before 2023, how many times has a former President of the United States been indicted?
None.
In the last 2 years, how many times has President Donald J. Trump been indicted?
4 times, I believe.
Now, many presidents of both parties have engaged in controversial actions, and yet none of them have been indicted.
It's been over 2 years since the Supreme Court's official acts ruling, and now that the noise surrounding it has died down a bit, it's worth revisiting it, because the decision was far more grounded than Democrats made it out to be. The main reasoning behind it was to break the cycle of lawfare and ensure the president doesn't question whether he'll be prosecuted by one of his successors for doing the duties of the job he was elected to do. It's also important to remember that the ruling never shielded potential wrongdoing outside the scope of presidential responsibilities. Cruz brought up a couple of examples to prove this point, and he put the double standard on full display.
Let me ask you, General Mukasey, if a private citizen were, say, to detonate a nuclear weapon over a city and kill over 140,000 people, and then if that private citizen a few days later detonated another nuclear bomb over another city and killed 75,000 people, could that private citizen be criminally prosecuted?
He would.
Was President Harry Truman prosecuted for detonating nuclear weapons over Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
He was not.
All right, how about this? If a private citizen launched a weaponized drone and killed a United States citizen, could that private citizen be criminally prosecuted?
He would.
Was President Barack Obama criminally prosecuted when he killed United States citizens using drones without notice and without due process?
He was not. Although, as far as due process is concerned, I believe the comment of my successor to that question was that Anwar al-Awlaki got, quote, all the process that was necessary.
Okay, this logic also applies to Bush's warrantless surveillance programs, which many argued violated FISA, or FDR incarcerating Japanese Americans after Pearl Harbor. Both decisions remain deeply controversial, yet neither president was prosecuted for carrying out what were considered official acts, even when those actions were later condemned or viewed as serious abuses of power. In many ways, the Supreme Court's ruling captured Hamilton's logic in Federalist No. 70, where he argued that the energetic executive was essential to effective government. In other words, if every president has to worry about criminal prosecution for official decisions, they'll become hesitant, overly cautious, and reluctant to act during critical moments. Cruz went on to highlight similar protections enjoyed by other branches of government, and it perfectly demonstrates why the outrage surrounding the ruling was selective. But before we play that, we have a quick message from today's sponsor, Cloaked. Now, they actually challenged me to see how exposed my personal information was, so I entered my phone number on their website. I figured they wouldn't find much, but my threat level came back as high. It even located information like my social security number. The reason is simple. Data brokers make billions collecting and selling our personal information every time we sign up for things like apps, websites, or online services. That's exactly why I use Cloaked. It shows you where your data is exposed and removes it. Gives you unlimited burner emails, phone numbers, and usernames, so companies and data brokers end up with useless data. Plus, You get dark web monitoring, a built-in VPN, a password manager, AI-powered spam call filtering, and $1 million in identity theft insurance. Go to cloak.com/redwhiterational, enter your phone number, and run the free security scan. It only takes you a few seconds, and you might be surprised by what it finds. If you're ready to take back your privacy, use cloak.com/redwhiterational to get 30% off any plan.
Let's contrast that with the rules that govern other federal officials. You were a judge for 19 years. As a federal judge, did you have immunity from your official acts?
For my official act, yes.
Yeah. Do federal prosecutors have immunity from their official acts?
They do.
Now, the distinction between official acts and personal acts is not a terribly shocking distinction. Under the decision of Trump versus United States, if any president walks onto the sidewalk and just shoots a citizen, is that president liable to be prosecuted?
He is.
How about this? If a president steals funds from his campaign, does that president face criminal liability?
He does.
So that distinction, again, is not a shocking distinction.
This ruling essentially gave the head of the executive branch protections similar to those long recognized for members of Congress and the judiciary. Again, it never extended to unofficial or private conduct, which is why the classified documents case against Trump continued until it was later dismissed on separate grounds. It also didn't overturn his New York conviction, which still stands as it makes its way through the appeals process. Cruz then brought the conversation full circle, exposing that the real reason Democrats reacted so strongly against this Supreme Court decision.
The Founding Fathers vested the executive power in a single president of the United States. What we have seen in the last 2 years is we have seen Democrats deliberately weaponizing the Department of Justice and our legal system to target their political opposition. It is not an accident that every indictment against President Trump was brought by a Democrat and was brought after he announced his campaign for President of the United States. One of the great things about the United States is we're not a banana republic. Since 2000, the nation of Pakistan has had 6 former prime ministers prosecuted and convicted. Brazil has had 3 former presidents arrested and imprisoned. Last year, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega arrested, charged, and imprisoned 40 political opponents. General Mukasey, you were Attorney General of the United States. Is it the proper role of the Department of Justice to prosecute and target the political opponents of whoever happens to be President of the United States?
It is most assuredly not.
Thank you.
It will be really interesting to see how history judges this period once the daily outrage, the non-stop media narratives, and partisan hysteria die down. America has been through bitter political fights before, but we rarely remember those moments the way politicians and those media sold them at the time. I wouldn't be surprised if future historians look back and conclude that many of the people claiming to defend democracy were also willing to bend legal norms, weaponize prosecutions, and treat political opponents like criminals. In the end, the official acts ruling may be remembered less as something that benefited Trump and more as an attempt to define the presidency's limits during one of the most polarized periods of our time.